The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Good evening, I'm Maricela Kelaton.
And I'm Terry Longwood. Thank you for joining us for TV1 News.
In this edition, JICA President visits NADZA project site, Fisheries MOA signed with Nakanai Cooperative Societies, and Puara clarifies move from hunters. The National Gaming and Control Board will carry out its nationwide illegal gambling awareness commencing this June to September. The purpose of the awareness is to educate the public on the legalities of games and gaming activities and the penalties that will be applicable to charge perpetrators who engage into practicing unlicensed or unlawful games in accordance with the Gaming Control Act 2007. This awareness program is a follow-up from the first rollout conducted in NCD in 2019. The same program will be carried out to other parts of the country to educate the public of the unauthorized games before the laws and regulatory measures are enforced. NGCB Chief Executive Officer Imelda Agon said the public needs to be informed that not all games are licensed and lawful in the country. The nationwide awareness program is set to be rolled out in the coming months from June to September of this year. Governor General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai attended the National Conference for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. He was concerned over the abuse of alcohol and illicit drugs in the country and the impact it is having on societies, communities, and families. The two-day meet subsequently established a comprehensive national alcohol policy aimed at reducing alcohol and drug-related harm in the society.
Speaking of the harmful use of alcohol and illicit drugs in PNG, Governor General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai acknowledged the organizing committee for addressing one of the major impediments to the development and prosperity of PNG. The two-day national conference subsequently established a comprehensive national alcohol policy that is aimed at reducing alcohol and drug-related harm in our society. The policy booklet contains chapters on basis for national alcohol policy, policy context and direction, policy statement and strategic directions, implementation roles and responsibilities, monitoring, evaluation and review. I believe the reduction of alcohol-related harm in PNG requires a strong political will and commitment. I commend efforts by all stakeholders towards the creation of this important document that will be used to implement best practices in reducing alcohol-related harm in our society and towards fulfilling our Vision 2050. He said the alarming reality is that in our nation, alcohol and drug misuse and abuse is an issue growing untamed into epidemic proportions. Sir Dadai added that harmful use of alcohol and illicit drugs causes considerable public health problems and accounts for 5.5% of disease burden within the Western Pacific region. Over and above the impact on public health, harmful use of alcohol is associated with significant social problems and economic burden. Jasmine Nero, TV1 News.
Air Niugini has resumed its Fokker jet services to Mount Hagen's Kagamuga Airport, Western Highlands Province, effective from Tuesday this week. Runway maintenance at Kagamuga has been completed by the National Airports Corporation. Since the commencement of work on the critical section of the airport on the 8th of March, Air Niugini has maintained air services to Mount Hagen using smaller Dash 8 aircraft, with passenger numbers restricted to as few as 23 at times because of the shortened runway. And New Guinea Acting Chief Executive Officer Gary Seddon said the last 6 weeks of restricted operations has been inconvenient for both customers, business houses around Mount Hagen and the airline. And New Guinea will operate up to 4 Fokker jet services each day between Port Moresby and Mount Hagen. The 750 million Kina Nadzap Tomodaki International Airport should be completed by August this year. Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation Walter Schnobelt said this during Wednesday's site visit with the president of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Professor Tanaka Akihiko. The president of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Professor Tanaka Akihiko, visited the new Nadzap Tomadaki International Airport in Morbe Province on Wednesday. The aircraft he was in was given a water salute as it taxied down the apron. Waiting to greet him on the tarmac was a Sing Sing group from the nearby Wampar LLG, including the Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation, Walter Schnobelt, the Acting Managing Director for National Airports Corporation, Joseph Tupiri, the Department of Transport Secretary Roy Mumu, and contractors from Dai Nippon Nippo joint venture. Professor Tanaka Akihiko visited Nadzap to inspect the 750 million Kina redevelopment project, as well as to unveil a plaque with the new name of the airport, which is Nadzap Tomodaki International Airport. Tomodaki means friend in Japanese. Minister Schnobelt outlined that the Nadzap redevelopment project is jointly funded by the Japanese Overseas Development Concessional Loan and the Government of Papua New Guinea through budgetary allocation.
The total cost of the project is 750 million, and it is scheduled to be completed by August this year. This project has been a significant undertaking, and I'm proud to say that it is nearing its completion thanks to the collaborative efforts of both our governments. Today we are not only celebrating the progress of Nadzap Airport redevelopment project, but also commemorating momentous occasion with the unveiling of the plaque jointly by the Professor Tanaka Akihiko and myself. The airport will be renamed as Nadzap Tomodachi International Airport, symbolizing the cooperation and friendship between the people of Japan and PNG.
Professor Akihiko thanked Prime Minister James Marape for approving the name change. He outlined that basic infrastructure is essential for quality growth.
Given the geographic nature and the current challenge of our partner country, Papua New Guinea, where the Prime Minister argues for the necessity of connect PNG, basic transportation infrastructure is key. And so we are very, very privileged and honored to be able to join you to build a necessary infrastructure in terms of this beautiful building and the really excellent airport.
After the unveiling of the plaque, all guests were invited to sign their names at the back of the plaque, starting with the Japanese delegation, then Minister Schnobelt and Deputy Prime Minister and lay MP John Rosso. Puma Energy has assured Papua New Guineans that fuel supply is secure. The reassurance stems from a statement issued yesterday, 19 April, regarding unleaded petrol rationing. Puma stated that due to the recent severe cyclonic weather in northwest Australia, Puma Energy's resupply ship has been delayed by several days and is now planned for arrival on Saturday, 22nd April to correct the ULP shortage being experienced. Puma Energy Country Manager Hulala Tokome said only Port Moresby is impacted by the rationing of unleaded petrol. Puma Energy has implemented ULP rationing program for Port Moresby only. No other parts of the country are affected. He said the rationing began on Wednesday, April 9 and ends Saturday, April 22, when the fuel supply arrives in the country. Normal supply will resume on Sunday, April 23. You're watching TV1 News. When we come back, City Authority explores water alternatives.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell Rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of vitamins and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell Rice. Skell Life.
From the rich soils of the highlands, the finest coffee has been grown by generations of Papua New Guineans. Expertly blended and roasted with over 80 years of experience, making the finest cup of Nescafe New Guinea blend. PNG's own coffee.
Open nets.
Favorite meal for the day does feel good. Snacks noodles is my choice for a simple meal. It is easy to prepare and fast to cook, and with a touch of flavor and ingredients, quality noodles that can be cooked and enjoyed in many different ways. You see, my whole family loves it. It's made here in PNG and comes in different packed sizes. Snacks noodles, tastier but you like it more.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SB Laga, Bunyamyumi.
Am I gonna die? I was hoping to get to know you.
Every beginning is the end.
How is Robbie doing?
He's in the ER and needs the operation, but we're short on cash. What should we do now?
I will figure it out.
You attempted to rob a bank, but what for?
It wasn't my fault. Will you please believe me?
And every end is the start of something new.
I love you so much, Emma.
I will be Robbie's father from now on.
Welcome back. The UK's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly began his tour of the Pacific region with a visit to Papua New Guinea on Wednesday. Apart from political meetings with Foreign Minister Justin Chochenko and Prime Minister James Marape, Cleverly visited the home of the Grassket project in Hanuabada, Port Moresby, a project in which the British government is partnered with to provide support. The UK's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly yesterday met with Foreign Minister Justin Chochenko and Prime Minister James Marape. Following the meeting, he visited the Fleming Fund-backed Port Moresby General Hospital and the Grasket Project in Hanuabada, which promotes women and girls' rights. Grasket Project founder Tahina Booth told the visiting foreign minister that Hanuabada, being a village in an urban setting, has struggled with outside pressures, even lacking access to basic sanitation. Booth says it is those statistics and their personal experiences that led them to developing the 10 million strong program, of which the British government is a partner.
Here in Hanuabada, we have decided to focus on one of our most vulnerable groups, youth. To make sure our program met the specific needs of the community, last year we completed an in-depth community surveys of around 50 people. This information gathered in the community has informed the development of the 10 Million Strong program and this pilot. The program we are launching today is a 12-week program for school children in grades 9 and 10. For this pilot, we've teamed up with our neighbour, the Badiagwa Secondary School. Thank you, Mr. President. The students will be provided a leadership program using sports as a vehicle for change.
In response, Foreign Secretary cleverly said he is determined that in the support that the British government give to their friends around the world, they embed the culture, the idea that improving the lives of women and girls improves lives of everybody.
I think sometimes there's a fear that if women are lifted up, that somehow that pushes men down. And I can assure you that is not the case. There is more than enough opportunity to go round. And actually, if I was given a statistic by a friend of mine, if women's participation in the economic activity of the globe matched male economic participation, the trillions of dollars added into the economy would be able to solve so many of the challenges that we see. So when women succeed, men succeed, and society succeeds. And I think that's what we need to work on.
The Foreign Secretary then continued his tour of Port Moresby to the Bomana Commonwealth War Cemetery to lay a wreath. UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly visited the Port Moresby General Hospital Microbiology Laboratory on Wednesday. Cleverly was taken on a tour of the CPHL laboratories and Fleming Fund equipment. UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly visited the Port Moresby General Hospital on Wednesday. There, Director Medical Services Dr. Connie Sobi and other members of the Port Moresby General Hospital team greeted him. Foreign Secretary Cleverly was taken on a tour of the microbiology laboratory that contained medical equipment and machines purchased through the Fleming Fund Country Grant, a United Kingdom aid program.
Through the Fleming Fund Country Grant, we are able to improve and enhance the capacity of the microbiology activity here in Port Moresby General Hospital. This goes a long way to save and improve clinical practice here in the country.
Papua New Guinea began work on antimicrobial resistance in 2015 and finalized its first national action plan with support from the Fleming Fund in 2019. Foreign Secretary Cleverly was very pleased to see the work that the Port Moresby General Hospital are doing with the support of the UK government.
The equipment that we've just seen, the ability to analyse microorganisms effectively and quickly is incredibly important. And the work that you do supports your society in the here and now, but of course also in the future. And I'm very pleased that it is being facilitated with the help of the Fleming Fund, funded by the British people to support our friends here in Papua New Guinea and here in the Port Moresby General Hospital.
Dr. Connie Sobi says antimicrobial resistance is a silent pandemic, a big concern for the health industry worldwide. With support from the UK government through the Fleming Fund, PMGH is able to study and manage the risk of antimicrobial resistance and identify organisms as quickly as possible so that clinicians and medical doctors can prescribe appropriately. 4 probation ministers in the East Central Papua region under the United Church were ordained on Sunday, 16 April, at Gabone Emmanuel United Church in Vigo, Central Province. The 4 completed the probationary period for a couple of years. They will now be addressed as Reverend, becoming full ministers of the gospel. Chairman of Gabone United Church, Amos Valley, shared that the 4 men will be the first ministers to be ordained in the new Gabone United Church, which was opened in 2021. These ministers are Garo Kila, Golobu Rava, Nelson Kema, and Tauva Lina. Chairman of Gabone United Church, Amos Valley, shared that this will be the first ordination in the new Gabone United Church, which was opened in 2021. These pastors will continue serving in their respective assigned villages in the Gaba Gaba circuit and will preach and teach the gospel, to administer the sacraments and rites of the church, and to exercise pastoral care and leadership. The National Fisheries Authority Division in Kimbe signed off on a memorandum of agreement between Marigold PNG and 2 cooperative societies in the Nakanai district for sustainable economic fisheries activities in distribution of sandfish or Bechdima fingerlings and repurchasing of the matured wet sandfish products. The agreement was signed at the Kimbe Fisheries Office on Wednesday, April 19 in West New Britain Province.
Marigold Limited, in collaboration with the Division of Fisheries and Marine Resources, is dedicated to building, maintaining and promoting sustainable sandfish farming activities and providing trainings for the management of its farmers. The company signed an MOA on Wednesday with Matui Cooperative Society of Vovosi Village and Tela Bomulila Cooperative Society of Kasia Village in the Nakanai district, with the Division of Fisheries for the farming and buying of sandfish, sea cucumbers. The objective of the agreement is to enable local fish farmers or a cooperative to participate in these cultured sandfish products as an economic resource and restocking of the natural environment. The agreement also allows a fisheries cooperative to conduct sound management of the sandfish farming and to assist in the community's efforts towards fisheries development, economic development, and fisheries-related infrastructure development. The other objective of the agreement include avenues on hazardous or harmful fishing activities, provide responsible fishing within the community, and to have proper report on the operation of the sandfish farm business. As a startup capital, the company gave 1,500 kina each to the 2 cooperatives as a token of appreciation for being a partner in business to get whatever necessary for the cooperatives. Chairman of Matui Cooperative Society, Ronald Patata, thanked Marigold and the NFA for trusting them and giving them the opportunity to partner with Marigold for building, maintaining, and promoting sustainable sandfish farming activities in the province. Freddie Moe, TV1 News.
Papua New Guinea is prepared to host the first ever International Special Economic Zone Summit in May in Port Moresby, attracting international delegates. Special Economic Zone experts from China, Philippines and 4 other countries have registered to share their experiences to help Papua New Guinea advance the Special Economic Zone agenda.
The Ministry of International Trade and Investment will play host to the International Special Economic Zone Summit on May 8 to the 9th in Port Moresby. Minister responsible Richard Maru says this is an important policy conference that has the potential to transform the country. The program will be officially opened by Prime Minister James Marape, with over 300 international and national participants expected to attend.
So we're looking at 6 countries to come and say their experiences on how the SZs have helped to transform their countries, which is very important for our country.
global experts at the summit will define the importance of developing special economic zone and how to do it correctly. Papua New Guinea has tried a few projects in the past years but have failed. Minister Maru says this is an opportunity to learn and do better. A few says projects in the country will be announced at the summit.
We are also going to announce a number of SEZs that are already starting in Papua New Guinea. So the government is not about talk. We have started on a number of SEZs, and I'll be asking them to come to the summit to give us an update on where they are. And in the master plan, the consultants will recommend to government the at least top 4 SEZs that we should give priority to starting this year.
PNG will present on the second day of the summit its drafts of policy framework, SEZ master plan and development strategy, revised SEZ legislation and amendments to the current SEZ Act.
We will also have government departments and agencies and those responsible in terms of certain policies that run, because we will depend on the policies of other agencies to carry on the task that we now have before us, and that is to develop the number of special economic zones sites right throughout Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea's dream to one day manage its own special economic zone projects is a step away as the summit paves way for funding and investment opportunities. Susan Oreape, TVWAN News.
Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru has challenged Gulf province leaders to provide the pathway to help drive the Ihu Special Economic Zone in Gulf as one of the PNG's pioneer proposed SEZ project that has been in the progress for the past 5 years. Minister Maru says critical infrastructures are needed to be built, making it viable to promote and attract investors to realize Gulf's first SEZ project.
For the past 5 years, Ihu Special Economic Zone, a proposed project in the country, has done its fair share of groundwork as per requirements, but the support from Gulf provincial leaders is needed to realize its dream. Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru has called on Gulf leaders to come together to help drive the project as a vehicle to be used to transform the least developed province.
I would encourage the leaders of Gulf province to work together with Total and the Papua LNG project to build an international wharf and an airport in the Gulf province. These are critical infrastructures to make the economic zone viable and possible in Ihu. If you don't have land, you don't have roads, if you don't have a wharf, you don't have an airport, you can't build a viable special economic zone.
Minister Maru says the potential is huge, with the province having so much gas and oil that can be utilized with the help of developers of the Papua LNG to drive a EU Special Economic Zone. This partnership can make a difference with the focus on downstream processing to lift the project portfolio. The EU Special Economic Zone office will be given a chance in the room of international sales experts around the country to share its work and the challenges at the International Sales Summit next month.
So we are excited about the opportunity, and we are looking forward to working with them during the summit and helping them to find developers and partners who can come in and look at downstream processing of gas in the Gulf province to help us unlock the vast potential of the EU SEZ, which will totally change the future of the Gulf province.
Susan Oreape, TVWAN News.
Lay MP and Deputy Prime Minister John Rossa was impressed with the state-of-the-art Nadzap Tomodaki International Airport facilities. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation Walter Schnobelt were at Nadzap on Wednesday, April 19, to receive the President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Professor Tanaka Akihiko.
Member for Lay and Deputy Prime Minister John Rosso was with the Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation Walter Schnobelt at Nadzap to receive the President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Professor Tanaka Akihiko. Professor Akihiko came to Leh on Wednesday, April 19, to visit the Nadzab Airport Redevelopment Project and unveil the renamed Nadzab Tomodachi International Airport. The 750 million kina upgrade was made possible through a Japanese Overseas Development Concessional loan and a PNG government budgetary allocation. Speaking in the new passenger terminal building, Rosso applauded the impressive architecture and skilled workmanship of the contractor Dai Nippon Nippo joint venture.
It not only speaks of the Japanese partnership with the Papua New Guinean people, but it also speaks of the Japanese technology and workmanship that you can see clearly defined within the construction of this. This event is a step closer to the opening of this very important infrastructure for our city of Leh and for Morbe province and for the country as a whole. Japan and Papua New Guinea established diplomatic relationships in 1975, September 16, when we attained independence also. It's one of the first countries that established ties with us when we got independence.
Rosso thanked the government and people of Japan for their continuous support to PNG over 4 decades, including their friendship. Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
And that ends the news segment. We now have the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. This is TV1 News. When we come back, we'll have a look at what's making headlines in the region.
Talks add some excitement to festivities with the Flame Easter Bonanza. Win a slice of a whopping 300,000 kina by purchasing the Flame Family Bundle Pack, which includes rice, sugar, flour and vegetable oil, all in one go. Highlight these goodies on your receipt and scribble your full name and contact details on the back and pop it in the entry box in selected stores across PNG. 4 fortnightly draws, 100 winners, 3,000 kina each. You don't want to miss out. This promotion ends on the 31st of May. Flame, strength and energy. Terms and conditions apply.
A true champion is measured by their courage, their determination, and their passion to never give up and to always keep trying. With a delicious Milo and milk taste and added nutrients, Milo and milk is a great way to fuel our little champions with nourishing energy every day. Because true champions give it their all.
Milo, PNG and Mia. Find PNG made.
Tired of sniffing, sneezing, and congestion? Stop popping pills that don't help. Get essential vitamins found in nature through these supplements that are formulated to reduce the symptoms of common colds and flu. Boost your body's immunity with these supplements that provide a protective shield against nasal congestion, sneezing, mild bronchial cough, and sore throats. Walk into a city pharmacy and pick up a bottle of Nature's Way Garlic Plus C and Horseradish or the sugar-free Cenovus Sugarless Vitamin C tablets and say goodbye to sickness. Available at a city pharmacy near you.
Dear son, you ask me how I live such a good life. Yes, I've had some good luck, like
like the day I met your mother. But it wasn't always that way. I've made some good choices too, like working hard and keeping my super with NASFAN. They looked after it for me, which meant I could concentrate on looking after my family. Living each day, knowing that when the time came, I'd be ready for tomorrow. Love, Dad.
Superstition ain't the way.
Sebo, Freddie picked it. Sebo scores in his corner and it's 10-0. Moses there, he's too far. Moses streaks away. Power flying. Now he's got man. Man for the line. They've done it again. Goodbye.
Welcome back. Progress on fuel efficiency standards is still slow going, with the government announcing a consultation period.
Australia runs far behind the rest of the world. Now the federal government is promising to change that and help cut 3 million tonnes of carbon emissions by 2030.
We've wasted a decade. We have not now a moment to waste.
Its new EV strategy outlines a plan for greater choice of vehicles, more competitive prices and better infrastructure to meet charging and uptake demands.
We want people of all walks of life, regardless of where they live, regardless of their income, to have the chance to consider buying an electric vehicle.
On average, new cars in Australia use 40% more fuel than in the European Union, 20% more than the United States and 15% more than New Zealand. And Australia currently sits alongside Russia as the only two developed countries without fuel efficiency standards.
If we continue going along at this pace, Australia risks becoming the dumping ground for the world's dirtiest vehicles that they're unable to sell elsewhere.
The government has committed to long-awaited mandatory fuel efficiency standards, which would require car makers to meet emission limits or risk penalties. It's announced 6 weeks consultation, despite warnings Australia's already a decade behind the rest of the world.
Australia has tried to implement fuel efficiency standards several times. We are somewhat drowning in discussion papers.
Do we continue to go down the path that will deliver a Mad Max-style utopian future that scared the world? Will that become our future, or are we actually going to act?
The policy doesn't include new incentives to buy EVs, with the government promising to work with states and territories on a national approach.
Queensland Parliament is set to pass new laws described as a monumental shift in the state's response to drug possession.
38-year-old Sally struggled with heroin dependence. Drug-related offences snowballed and she wound up in jail. Having a criminal record is a lifelong sentence, affecting everything from her employment to housing.
We're still penalised, like we're still gatekept from society, from any meaningful participation really.
She hopes changes to drug laws will help steer others toward health care, away from a prison cell.
Hopefully this will be the start of a shift in the narrative around how we view people who use drugs.
Under the legislation, adults caught with small amounts of any illicit substance will be given 3 chances before facing criminal charges. On the first, they'll receive a warning. On the second and third occasions, they'll be offered a drug diversion program. If they're busted a 4th time, they'll have to appear in court. Drug traffickers, though, will face tougher jail sentences.
The war on drugs hasn't worked, and it's not going to work. So this is a new approach, and it's based in evidence and research.
This is giving people hope and a chance of potential rehabilitation.
The reforms are backed by current and former police commissioners, advocates and doctors. But the Australian Medical Association says its critical, already swamped drug diversion services are properly resourced.
But the model is really based on that brief intervention and that opportunity to engage with a health professional, which has never happened before.
Homelessness Australia have released new data showing how young people in Sydney are suffering from the cost of living increase.
Young homeless people in New South Wales will be looking for a place like this, a warm bed and someone to talk to. But the Oasis crisis accommodation in Sydney's CBD is full.
Have got 12 beds, but as soon as one opens up, it's filled immediately. In fact, they're flooded.
Homelessness Australia has released new data showing how little money struggling young people have to live on. In New South Wales, a young person sharing a rental gets $338 a week in youth allowance and Commonwealth rent assistance. In Sydney, on average, two people would need to each find $333 a week for a two-bedder. That's 98% of their allowance, leaving an impossible $5 a week for expenses.
What we have is young people who are students, young people who are looking for work, having to choose between rent and eating, and that is just not acceptable.
Homelessness services like this one want the state government to spend more on public housing, and they want the federal government to increase JobSeeker and the youth allowance.
Are we going to be a country that is not prepared to help people who are struggling the most, but at the same time is going to give thousands of dollars to people on the very highest incomes in this country?
All three levels of government need to work together. The federal government does need to do their bit in terms of income support. We need to do our bit in terms of service provisions.
Cold comfort for those sleeping rough.
Back home, riverine communities along the Strickland River are calling on the government to formulate a compensation agreement for environmental damages from Porgera gold mine tailings. Community leaders expressed this in a press conference today.
The leaders of riverine communities have called on relevant authorities to look into addressing their concerns over environmental damages with a compensation agreement. In a press conference, they said tailings from the Porgera mine have affected fish population in the Strickland River.
Agreements after agreements, government may concentrate long. SML landowners na developer. People are waiting coming up, now April. People are like talking government, na media, na public, or same. The riverine group, people are kissing big bakarat. Garden where people are working, farming longan. Sedimentation, long mine, karimigo, bagarabim.
Team leader Mr. Peter Papo stressed that the riverine communities depend on the river system for survival, economic empowerment in terms of alluvial mining, which has been altered because it's been washed away or covered by the mine waste.
Going down to the all people only live downstream, long western, na sundown provinces. They live on the fish. Fish also live also exim money longan. Now also exim protein long all longan. But they cannot fish anymore now. Where all beginnings are swim. Sedimentation to them build up.
Cedric Yangen from Ella said the riverine landowners have also not given consent to the state and the developer to use their waterway. They are adamant to have an agreement in place.
Ori bekim some sepa mas conducting audit na kerima disla wanimia or river given from permit. Na disla pass NEC been approved and given, but sepa no collecting come now. So by this time, SEPA should be on the right position to answer us, because the development forum is coming closer to us.
MP for Koroba Kopiago, William Bando, has raised this issue on the floor of Parliament recently. Relevant authorities have yet to respond. Freddie Moe, TVWAN News.
And that ends the news segment. Terry Lonwood joins us after the break with PNG 7's news and more. Stay tuned.
Belter, folks. Strap yourselves in. Tyrone Roberts with a cross-field kick. And here they come again. The foot race on the outside. Last tackle. Molatoni. Roberts. Can he get away from it? Bradley Nimmer for the line. This one, the sweeping defense of Ted Bradley. Does he get away from Kelly? Yes, he can. And he puts it on a platter for Ailing. And Jacob Ailing scores.
Gervonta Tank Davis, King Ryan Garcia.
The power of Davis. The flash, the hand speed.
Two undefeated stars, two journeys, one mega fight to make history.
It's over! It doesn't get any better than this.
Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, live April 23rd, only on Fight Sports.
Out Carpenter, inch perfect. They're over the line and they've got it.
First and exclusive.
You're special, darling.
I'm not special, I'm a monster!
Now I will be a super villain.
Your shit is losing his mind.
I know you're not well.
They have to be punished.
He wants you to return with them to bury the boy.
You might be planning something a lot nastier.
It's an ancient voiding inscription, often the seal of a body containing a demon.
First and exclusive. All new on Saturdays.
Well, folks, after literally years of negotiation between the fan and the management of Steve Menzies, we have secured the great man for the show. Welcome to the fan.
This is all going through my head, and then all of a sudden he passes it back. Oh, my God.
Today we have enlisted the help of Panthers co-captain and superstar halfback.
When you've kicked it well, you usually know, and especially on the chip kicks, I usually know.
Thanks to Nathan Cleary, invaluable insight for the fans out there, for the kids out there.
Tasmania is Australia's smallest state, lying about 240 kilometres south of the mainland. Join me on my journey through this beautiful island state as I experience the produce, people and culture that makes this an unforgettable island.
And welcome back. The 2023 World Rugby Sanctioned Sevens Challenger Series kicks off today, Thursday, April 20, in Stellenbosch, South Africa. PNG men and women's sevens teams are also in the mix following their outstanding performances at the Oceania qualifiers last year. Both teams quietly departed Port Moresby last Saturday for the Challenger Series. The PNG men's team is fielded alongside Belgium, Brazil, Chile, Germany, Hong Kong, Italy, Jamaica, Korea, Tonga, Uganda and Zimbabwe. PNG's first match today is against Hong Kong, followed by Chile, and Friday they will be up against Italy. The men's winners will enter a 4-team playoff at the HSBC London Sevens in May, with the teams placed 12th and 14th after 10 rounds of HSBC World Rugby Sevens Series. The winner of the playoffs achieves Sevens World Series 2024 status. The women's 12-team format sees PNG alongside Belgium, China, Colombia, Czech, Hong Kong, Mexico, Poland, South Africa, Thailand, including a team from South America. The women's winners gains automatic promotion to the Seven World Series 2024. Round 8 of the NRL Telstra Premiership kicks off tonight, Thursday, with Rabbitohs versus Panthers blockbuster. There are some big games this weekend, including Eels versus Broncos, Dolphins versus Titans, and Storm versus Warriors on Anzac weekend.
The Rabbitohs have been a destructive mood lately, but playing the Panthers is a different kettle of fish. They racked up big scores against lesser teams, and although Penrith isn't playing its best, it is predicted the defending champions will be too good. Friday night, Para versus Broncos. The Eels were far too good for the Bulldogs on Sunday, but that was to be expected given the Bulldogs' injury worries. Facing the Broncos, who come off a big win, is much more difficult, and expect the Eels to struggle to keep up. The Sharks come off an impressive win against the Roosters, and that's an excellent form guide going forward. This could be a one-sided affair. Meanwhile, all is not well with the North Queensland Cowboys. With their backs against the wall, they should muster something. They play the Newcastle Knights, who should have beaten the Panthers. They lost in Golden Point, but that could take the wind out of their sails. On current form, there's more momentum with the Gold Coast Titans, who are likely to finish ahead of the Dolphins when it's all said and done. Despite being hammered by the Rabbitohs, bookmakers have the Dolphins narrowly favoured. The Sea Eagles bounce back to their best with a win over the Storm, and interesting to see if that momentum continue against the Tigers. West always seem to play better on Anzac weekend, but given their current form, Panthers can muster enough to back them outright. Roosters haven't been at their best, but this is usually the time when they strike. Roosters to account for Dragons. And to close off round 8 on Anzac Day, Storm haven't been at their best, but the Warriors are expected to be in the mix as well.
Wardo Poirot Jr. has finally opened up on his departure from the PNG Hunters to join the new franchise EMK Civic Pride in the Diesel ExxonMobil Cup competition. The former Guria and the PNG LNG Kumul decided to join the Civic team in the hope of using his experience to boost the standard of domestic rugby league competition in the country. The captain of the EMK Civic Pride, who led the team to its first win of the inaugural 2023 Diesel ExxonMobil Cup, said playing at this level has given him a clear view of how he can help boost the competition and players to be ready for a higher tier of rugby league. Poirot said if we strengthen the local semi-professional competition, PNG can have a strong national team in the PNG Hunters, for example. He said he is happy with his decision in joining the Civic Pride.
And for me to go down, I can see the big difference in the level of game. And I think for me going down, I can help the boys there. From my experience, we can help them all. When they come to the Hunters, they're ready for that level. And we can see improve Hunters doing next level. So yeah, but I'm happy, honored, and I'm regretting choice this and Chinese people.
Southern Highlander and PNG basketball representative player Moses Jr. is a role model for young boys and girls in the sport of basketball. Moses led his team, Moresby City Rangers, to take out this year's National South Basketball Championship title at the Tauranga Aquatic Centre during the Easter weekend.
The Moresby City Rangers Basketball Club is made up of budding young basketballers who are unemployed but aspire to become good ambassadors in the sport. Rangers captain and current PNG rep player Moses Jr. is becoming a role model for the young boys who aspire to excel in the sport and maybe represent the country one day. At the recent National South Basketball Championships in Port Moresby, Moses was at his best, competing against fellow PNG rep players from other clubs. Moses, like any other kid, grew up playing rugby league, but at the same time had passion for basketball, which is popular in the Southern Highlands. Moses is tall, agile and athletic, and possesses the acrobatic ability and skill in shooting, dribbling and passing. Though Moses only broke into representative duty in 2012, he's been playing basketball since his school days.
I start playing in 2012, coming up now and then, representing the country. Play on time, but making a little more brothers from Island Set or Southern Islands play. Yeah, I'm PNG rep too, and play on time. So I play, but I know got a different people and work out good, so I cost the game. But I trust in believing my boys to me that I can, come into the knockouts and then commit them all the finals hopefully. Plenty of Sumatin, plenty of money plus Sumatin. Some plus stand at me playing get him all the play now. Keep them all fit. Hopefully one day I'll carry us in the country too, take part. Those in 23 Pacific Games.
With the Pacific Games coming up at the end of the year, Moses is quietly confident for a call-up to the national team. However, beyond that, he is also working with his coach and manager to secure a playing contract overseas as well.
Play overseas, go play maybe contract and play fully. It's like maybe I'm dreaming, pressure but now currently we go play there, we try to build me at and then look forward. Opportunity come.
And that's sports for now. Mary.
Thank you, Terry. That ends the news tonight. Pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
Bye.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.